Yo, hello. Regulation D will be coming soon, so I wanted to go ahead and talk about like some of the changes to how some archetypes and some how Pokemon will be playing during the Regulation D metagame. And first, I'm just going to talk about Pelipper. Pelipper, Drizzle, Rain, standard stuff, right? We just ran Pelipper, Palafin, Amoonguss, Iron Hands, stuff like this. This was our kind of Rain course. Sometimes Palafin would become a Azumarill instead. But with Regulation D, we have like so many more options to how Rain can play. And even like Floatzel, I guess we can mention Floatzel too. Some people use that once upon a time. But yeah, generally like Palafin, Azu have been like the main staples in Rain recently. But with Regulation D, we have like some substantial changes to talk about. As you can see here, we actually have the 4 genies. All 4 genies get this exclusive mood, Bleakwind Storm, Sandsear Storm. All these moves actually have a very interesting effect to them that works with Rain, because like in Rain, we can see from this video that Dwalafit posted, even at -6 accuracy, you'll see the Bleakwind Storm go off and the Wild Bolt Storm. And let's go on to see communicating the switch to not ground immune, and you see this both double hits. And that's an interesting way of this making Rain a lot stronger. Like, not just are you having a 100% flying move, 100% electric move, you're adding accuracy to a move from Landorus as well. As you can see here, Sandsear Storm now has a 100% chance to hit. And 100 base power, 100% accurate move off of like Sear Force potential too, which this one's Sand Force. As you can see, it's actually getting the burns off, but off Sear Force you get such insane power off of a spread move like that is only really comparable to like Precipice Blades from Groudon. But with Rain, you're able to get that as like 100% accurate, which is more than a little crazy, right? It's more than a little crazy. So Rain really just gains so many options just off that alone. And it's not even thus the genies either, for that matter. Rain also gives you some interesting tool, in the strongest Pokemon in the format in Regulation D is likely going to be this little panda bear that dominated all, like, every time we had a limited dex in Sword and Shield and when the DLC dropped. In those brief periods we went to no Dynamax formats in Series 10, Urshifu was the best mon in the format, and it wasn't really that close. Like, of course, Incineroar had more usage, but like Urshifu strictly as this the most this honestly present Pokemon in no Dynamax metagames, and kinda that's the most game-changing one from an offensive standpoint. Because, like, Urshifu has this thing with Unseen Fist, where you can get around Protect, and you combo that with Surging Strikes, a move that hits multiple times, always critical hits. So you can't intimidate an Urshifu, you cannot protect around an Urshifu. And then when you combo that with mon like Pelipper, right? Rain Surging Strikes is actually kind of insane. And there's also some, like, self-setup strats that become a bit more real too, because you can do, actually no, wrong move. Storm. You do like Wild Bolt Storm, Thunder Wave, Taunt, and then you can do Rain Dance and then have Thunderous set up for your Urshifu. And you can also use like Eerie Impulse as well to maybe get Flutter down so Flutter can't KO. So Rain has like way more options to play than it ever has before. Torn can also do this whole Rain Dance self-setup thing too, while having Tailwind instead of T-Wave. I think Thunderous fits this role better though. But yeah, so that theory also gives Rain another way to play outside of this having a Pelipper. And you can have a team that looks something like, let's say this, you have a Amoonguss, Chien-Pao, they like a Chi-Yu. And like this fits as a core already, and you can just add a fire type, maybe like an Arcanine or something. And then I guess Flutter, why not? Let's go Flutter. It's like a decent core in itself. in a lot of ways. You get the Fire, Water, Grass. Chen Pal I added here because like that's another way you can boost an Urshifu outside of this rain. So if you attach like Sword of Ruin, you add plus rain. Urshifu on itself has a lot of ways to pop off. That makes it like functionally very interesting. And like not just that as well. If we just look at like how pure rain can play out, right? With like Pelipper and Ursh, right? Your main weakness, you have two Pokemon that are weak to electric. So Landorus is actually a very great partner here, as you can use Sandsear Storm, get ridiculous power, 100% accurate in rain. And now you have this insane spread move, which you'll notice that how rain teams have worked since we've been using Pelipper Palafin, we've been using Pelipper Azumarill. These rain teams have essentially this functioned by, oh, I can KO you, but I can only KO you through single target. And only being able to KO through single target usually tends to create some like consistency / reliability issue, as your opponent only really has to deal with one Pokemon. So normally you can either protect around this, or you force them to not be able to KO you through redirection or fake out, which makes team playstyles a little bit harder to play in certain matchups. Like a Palafin, if it's water and rain, it kind of just doesn't get around a Moongus that well, and we saw this problem come up a bit. Yeah, you can use a Moongus here too. Like there's a lot of this insane value that rain is getting that was just like not normally there. And it's going to be interesting to see how this rain develops from this very, frankly, simplistic comp to a comp that's this bit more wild in how it like plays, right? And there's going to be many impacts with this. And also to go into even more future, right? With Tornogre. Because if you played VGC 2019, you will know how like important this core was. I mean VGC 2022 and 2019 for that matter. But you'll see like this kind of core from VGC 2022. But you can also do this in theory in a very interesting way now. Because the extra benefit of Bleak Wind Storm, right? With a 30% chance to lower the foe's speed by target, you're in theory able to have Tornadus kind of combine Icy Wind and Hurricane into one move in terms of value. And this kind of allows you to play like such a more flexible style. Like you don't necessarily need Icy Wind anymore. Like sure, you only have a 30% chance to get the speed drop on it, but it does open the door to running sets like this. You can run like Taunt. You can of course still run Icy Wind for the reliability, but it's like it's not quite as much of a necessity anymore. And you can run something like Landorus here too with ground Sandsear, that's what it was called. And you can run this kind of Landorus. You could still run Landorus Therian too and create this like kind of crazy balance core with AV Landorus Therian that uses Sandsear, and this kind of like bulks out with Intimidate and rotation. You rotate off with like Incineroar too and stuff. So, you know, there's a lot of this options overall to how this plays out. And Rain in general having all these options is kind of ridiculous. It's kind of ridiculous. Which I am happy they added it, because like the other style of play, right? You got Sun, where they were getting all these insane photosynthesis mons. Like Walking Lake, while it won't be legal for this future format, because it's was a limited release, right? But you have this move Hydro Steam, which does 1.5 damage during Sunny Day, and then you get the photosynthesis, and you get Stab, making for like an insane nuke. So you couldn't beat this in rain, because then during rain it's still a water boost, so it gets the boost too. And during sun it's still like insanely powerful, making it such a rain powerhouse and a sun powerhouse too. And then all the other photosynthesis mons like Fluttermane, Great Tusk, like those are all this really insane benefits to have all get boost. Even like Brood a little bit, right? But now rain not thus acts as a counter weather, but rain also acts as giving your own team a lot more benefits too, on top of this countering sun. So that kind of dichotomy is a lot more interesting. Though it does ultimately end up punishing snow, right? Because snow, not nearly as many Pokemon are benefiting from snow as are benefiting from rain. Though I guess in theory, since all the rain Pokemon are flying types, a mon like Iron Bundle becomes very powerful for snow. Even if this is only Iron Bundle, right? So Iron Bundle with Freeze Dry gets a lot more value here too, creating an interesting little weather dichotomy. Unfortunately, this does mean like horrible things for Sand. I feel a little bit bad for Sand. Not really. Tyranitar Lycanroc has done like very bad things to me. But it's interesting how the Weather Worlds is overall developed in general. I do hope once we get into DLC though, we'll start to see some of the other weathers get more benefits to them, because I feel like Sand is slowly starting to get like less and less value. Snow I think ends up fine, because I think later on eventually we might get Ninetales Alola. Right now of course we do not have Ninetales Alola, so that's just a future benefit, but Ninetales Alola should be a really good Pokemon to kind of revitalize Snow. And Bundle in itself is just great for Snow too, and kind of works in a good anti to rain, works in a good anti to sun, which usually is something that Snow would have a problem with otherwise in past formats, is this every other weather kind of beats it. But yeah, that's really all for this video. Good little future potential of rain. Let me know what you guys think about rain as an archetype in general, because I feel like rain kind of this has a lot more play styles than it did before, which frankly is really cool, because I think a lot of how early rain cons worked was a little obvious, to put it lightly. Like, it was the same team every time, it wasn't very dynamic. Like, sure, you change your Palafin to an Azumarill slot, wow, ooh. But yeah, now rain has such a wider variety of playstyles that it should be a bit more fun to experiment with and try out during the Regulation D metagame. And also let me know on what other Pokemon you think I should talk about, what other archetypes I should talk about, and how they develop into our new format in Regulation D. And that's it. Later.